So, Battlefield 2042's Hazard Zone has been discovered by data miners. Now, you may have seen my breakdown of the recent news, and in that video, we talked about how Hazard Zone could be a lot like Escape from Tarkov based on the leaks. Hunt Showdown was also used as a comparison, but in this video, we're going to focus on the potential that Tarkov's influence can bring to Hazard Zone. Battlefield 2042 will be offering this apparent similar game mode and could actually provide an alternative to Tarkov, one that is much bigger in scale thanks to a bigger team and a higher budget. Now, undoubtedly, there will be many differences between Hazard Zone and Escape from Tarkov, but this could be potentially a casual Tarkov experience, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Let's first look at what makes Tarkov so great. So you basically play as a mercenary who goes into war-ridden Russia to gather items, weapons, armor, loot, and the list just goes on. If you manage to avoid death by either other players or the AI bots known as scavs, and you manage to extract successfully, you will be rewarded with the bounties of your haul. You can take the items that you got from the raid and sell it on the player-ran flea market for maximum profitability. The merchants in Tarkov will give you assignments where, upon completion, grant rewards, which, depending on the merchant and the assignment, that could be anywhere between a new weapon or a fat stack of beautiful cash. Now, that is a very shallow description of what the game is about, but I think you get the picture. Now, the level of detail in Tarkov can be overwhelming for new players. Trust me, when I started, it was extremely overwhelming. I had to have a guide with me for like 3 weeks because I didn't understand anything. And the game is not going to hold your hand. You have a hunger and thirst system. If you carry too much weight, it'll drain your stamina faster, make it difficult for you to move. That's pretty basic stuff in a lot of survival type games that we've seen. But then Tarkov goes the extra mile and implements things like strength. If you're starting out as a brand new character, your character is unfamiliar with assault rifles or sniper rifles and will be clumsy when aiming. He has to learn how to use weapons properly for you to be good at aiming. There's over 100 types of ammunition in the game, and each caliber has a different effect on velocity, damage drop-off, penetration damage, recoil. If you get shot in the leg and it breaks, you'll need a splint to get it unbroken. You're also going to need painkillers for the pain, and you're also going to need first aid packs for the bleeding. You're going to have to address specific issues that occur when you get shot, and sometimes this can happen while you're getting shot at from who knows where. If you run out of water and you become dehydrated, you are going to die. And before you know it, you can't see anything because you're starting to black out. If you don't manage to extract and you do die, then any gear that you brought in with you is now gone. Unless you have insurance, but that's not 100% reliable. If someone's making their way to the extract and they see your dead body and decide to loot your stuff, it's gone. Sorry, dude. I'm actually surprised they haven't factored in a heart attack system with the amount of detail they have. But now, let's look at Battlefield. It's an easy concept, it's fun, it doesn't require months of training to get good at. Now just take the basic rules and goals of Tarkov and put it in a Battlefield game. We've heard of different ammo types already from Battlefield, but of course that's not going to be nearly as extensive as Tarkov, and that is where I think the genius comes in. If you can make a digestible version of Tarkov for the masses, then you can bring that type of gameplay to the forefront of AAA titles. And if Battlefield is successful and the leaks are true, Hazard Zone can be an absolute game changer. Let's branch off just a little bit. Do you remember DayZ? Many of you probably do. DayZ was a totally new and fun concept brought about by a modder who just wanted to play an awesome survival zombie game in the realistic military sim Arma 2. It became so popular over the years that it eventually branched into its own game. There was only one issue. Some would say it was part of the charm, and others would disagree, but at the end of the day, it is pretty much what defined DayZ as DayZ, and that's its difficulty. DayZ was very punishing, much like Tarkov. You could spend 5 hours finding clothes, food, shelter, weapons, while avoiding players who are trying to be bandits and kill people on the roads, and of course avoiding zombies, and you're finally about to get that vehicle started up. Now you can start traveling across the huge map, and then all of a sudden you get shot in the back of the head. The screen turns black, and suddenly you've lost all of your gear and equipment. You are now back at square one, and the last 5 hours meant absolutely nothing. Now you can go back and get your stuff, of course, but seeing how you have no maps and no idea where you were in the first place, place, the chances are your gear is gone. Now, why on earth would I want to play that? I'll tell you why. If the person who shot you happened to miss, and you managed to turn and gun him down, now you had all of his gear. Maybe find a key to a base that he built and has all of his loot, all of his weapons and food. The risk and reward were both extreme. And every time you were in a gunfight, your heart rate increased because you have something to fight for. If you die, you go back to square one. Now, fast forward a few years, along comes a game called PUBG, and it was similar to DayZ in a lot of ways, but it did leave out a lot of things and focused on, I think, what made DayZ fun in the first place, the gunfights and the enemy engagement. I didn't like playing DayZ for 3.5 hours just to get into one gunfight that I then lost and then have to repeat the whole 3-hour process again. But I loved the gunfight, especially if I win, obviously. So there's a huge risk if you don't win, but I loved getting into gunfights. So you can see the deadly loop here. PUBG gave me that engagement and that gunplay without the 3.5 hours of work. The controls were practically the same, and so was the risk. However, this time the risk wasn't quite as brutal because instead of hours and hours wasted, you would just need to jump into another game if you got killed. And the reward would be the last player alive out of 100. You were known as the best of that group of 100. So obviously, the nerfing, if you will, of the DayZ experience worked. Of course, PUBG didn't set out to nerf DayZ and turn it into something better. It just kind of landed that way, for me at least. There was enough similarities there to make me take notice that this was just a faster, more for me version of DayZ. And so the Battle Royale genre was officially born, at least as we know it today. I'm going to bring things back to Hazard Zone. I don't think this is going to be a genre-creating game mode, but I do believe that if what we've read is true, we will see a similar positive outcome to the toning down, if you will, of an already fun game, which is Tarkov. The strategy has always been, how can we make this Fortnite? And now the strategy is, let's not add onto the pile. They seem to want to try their hand at something different that will give the players intensity and satisfaction. And to that I say, awesome, bring it on. Besides, in the end, if the mode's a flop, they can just change it into a traditional BR. According to Tom Henderson on Twitter, I've covered that before, they have the ability to just kind of flip a switch and make it a standard BR. So at least they're trying something new, and it's based off of a game that is successful right now. Tarkov is hot and it's not for everybody. And I think that they saw that, and now they're going to take that and turn it into something that everybody can be a part of. And that to me is a genius move. And I think that we're going to get a lot of good stuff out of it. Hopefully. I could be wrong, but something tells me we're in for a treat with this fresh take. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Am I making my point, or do I sound like an idiot? Sometimes I get my point across and sometimes it just fails miserably. So please let me know. That's all I have today, but stay tuned because we're going to be seeing 2042 at Gamescom, apparently, starting this Wednesday. So be sure to subscribe for all the news coming out of that event. And I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, and if not, a dislike. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.